welcome to Horror First Timers, the chilling podcast where every scream, every gasp, and every heart-pounding moment is fresh and unfiltered. In this new podcast, this is episode 1. This is a new podcast that I've had in my brain for a while. It's essentially where I just ask a guest to watch a horror movie with me that they've never seen before, whether it be a horror classic like Halloween or The Thing, or I don't know, something more B-movie like Society, or something new like we watched, which is Hereditary. With me today, or tonight, I have my lovely fiancé. Her name is Maddie Franz. She does music.
I do.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm pretty good.
You just got home from work.
I'm pretty excited.
You having a good day?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Taught some people some stuff.
Good.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. So we watched a movie last night. It's called Hereditary. And it was really long. We're planning on recording this podcast after the movie, but it was way too late. And by the movie, and by its craziness, and I believe you used the word bizarre a lot. She wanted to think about it a little bit before we actually talked about it. So yeah, let me ask you the same question I did after the movie last night. How did that make you feel? What do you think about that movie?
I definitely went into it not knowing anything about it. I don't think I've ever seen a trailer for it. I literally...
Really?
I was going to ask you what the plot of the movie was, and then I was like, I'm just going to let it remain a mystery.
No, yeah.
I literally had no idea what I was getting into or what... the name of it is so just, because it's one word, hereditary. I'm like, what am I to expect about this? Is this a disease that, runs through the family? Is this...
Kinda.
Yeah, kind of, actually, as it turns out. I knew it was going to be a family movie of some kind, and I knew it was going to be, a little bit scary and a little bit odd just based off of, who directed it and, where it came from and, how big it was and how much people were talking about it.
Yeah, because you like Midsommar.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about. I'm not a horror movie person, but that one I get down with.
That was the first movie we ever saw together.
Oh, yeah.
On a date.
Yeah.
I think the first movie we watched together was Batman v Superman, which is
not a horror movie.
A crowning achievement in my life. So yeah, I wrote down some questions.
Hit me with them.
About 15 of them. So yeah, the first one was initial thoughts and feelings. So after the movie, how did you feel? Because I want to hear your answer, but after I watched it for the first time, I was fucked up.
I was expecting, because you told me that I was expecting to be a little bit fucked up.
Yeah.
And then I totally wasn't. I was mostly just confused because I had no idea what was going on the entire movie.
Yeah.
I spent most of the movie going, what is this plot? Is there a plot? What's the scary thing? What's the good guy? What's the bad guy? What are we trying to conquer?
Where did you think the movie was going before it got to where it...
I thought Grandma was coming back to haunt everybody. Awful. It was Grandma's dead. We saw her in that one room. She's coming back to haunt everybody. Somebody wronged her and she's coming back. And then they talked about ritual things, and I was like, she's a witch. She's a witch. And then in the end, you were like, it's this way. And I was like, that was my only
What do you
thought.
mean? Whole King Payman thing?
The whole ending of it. No, I didn't even understand what that had to do with it. I didn't understand that it was supposed to... Am I allowed to say what the end of the movie was?
Yeah, spoilers. So if you haven't seen this movie, go watch it.
Yeah, warning.
That's the only warning you get.
The very last 15 minutes of the movie, they suddenly bring in what I thought were ghosts out in the lawn. And you fully were like, those are people.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
I didn't even notice
people?
that the first time I saw it.
ADHD,
it's got
baby.
those, the movie does that, I think, 2 or 3 times where it'll be day or it'll be night, and it'll be by the flick of a finger, just it'll just change to either day or night in the same shot.
Yeah.
Just sick.
Yeah.
And I think when I first saw it, I was just still so enamored with that awesome house that they lived in.
Oh, the house is sick.
That I did
What a
not
good
notice all of the naked cult people.
Well, we had also talked about how
in the yard
we were impressed by, or I was impressed by the fact that we could shoot most of that movie in that one house. Like the house itself was so interesting, and like everybody, all of the characters had a link to the house, like that were part of the movie.
Yeah, I kind of wish there was, like, a lot of the movie was in the house, but I feel like we didn't see. I wanted to see more of the house.
Yeah, we definitely got a lot of like a couple bedrooms in the hallway.
Yeah, like
and the
we
attic.
got their bedroom, like the parents' bedroom,
The grandma's bedroom
Annie and
came
Steve.
in.
Poor Steve.
Poor Steve.
Poor Steve.
Bring back Steve.
And I guess all the bedrooms, but they're all in like the one hallway. It kind of seemed a little claustrophobic for how big the house was.
Did we see the kitchen at all?
Maybe briefly.
I know we saw the living room and the fireplace and whatever.
Yeah. Rip Steve.
Rip Steve.
Because that's where he died. What were we talking about? The good shots of the house.
Yeah, but how do we get
I don't know. We're already getting off track. I love it.
Well, I had zero expectations going into this movie. Like, no idea what the plot was. No idea. I didn't even know Toni Collette was in there, and I love Toni Collette.
Yeah, I know. I thought you knew, and then I was like, Toni Collette, and you're like, oh, Toni Collette's in this? And I was like, yeah, she's the main character.
It was not.
She was snubbed, man.
It was not scary in a scary way. It was scary in a
dreadful way.
Kind of. It wasn't even that scary, I would say. Like, you talked so much about leaving and being so scared at the end of the movie that I was expecting to be just like not being able to sleep. Like, I had like an ick for sure.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like I'm gonna stare at the ceiling and hope that everything's gonna be okay.
So there's a big difference about seeing a movie like this, I should say, in the theaters versus at home, on the couch with not a giant surround system and stuff. Because
it wasn't like a huge audio boom boom kind of movie though either.
I feel like
a creepier maybe.
I feel like it kinda is just with the sound design, because I was watching videos about the movie all day today, just gearing up for this podcast, and I forgot about this, but the actual sound design, if you have a big stereo surround system that's like all around you, like a theater, in those scenes with like the little that.
Oh.
Those are coming from every which direction to scare you in the audience.
Yikes.
So it sounds like it's behind you, you know? Like,
yeah.
So it made those scenes very scary.
I could see that. Speaking of she definitely did not last as long as I thought.
Yeah, no, she fucking died.
Oh, she died so hard. She died in the most. That was like the scariest death I think of the movie was like, you just killed your sister. Congratulations.
Ari Aster, you dirty dog.
Dirty.
You did a film taboo, killing a kid. I kind of love it, though.
It's also like you don't stick your hand out the bus window when you're a kid because you don't want it to get like mulched off by something in the road.
Yeah, and this chick literally had her head.
was already dying and then actually died.
Oh,
yeah. Sad.
Very sad.
Nothing like Toni Collette's scream the next day. That was just heart-wrenching.
And that's another thing, too, when I maybe hyped up the scares a little too much for you.
Well, also, I'm like not afraid of gore.
Because, well, it's not a very gory movie
I'm not afraid
either.
of psychological kind of things.
But for me, I guess more than anything, when we all left the theater, me and my buddies, we had like a sense of dread more than anything. Like, ugh. Like, that was heavy. Like, even the scenes that weren't meant to be scary still, like, weighed on us really hard. Like, the dinner scene.
Yeah. Yeah.
With Toni Collette and Alex Wolff just fucking shooting it out and having a little family drama moment, blaming each other for the death of the sister.
I was waiting for it. Like, I feel like that was such a normal, like, family reaction to have as far as, like, the rage that you feel when that kind of death plus piled on the fact that your son accidentally was the one that did that. Like, I was waiting for that moment to happen.
Yeah. Great acting.
Yeah.
Toni Collette.
Definitely.
Got snubbed. I'll say it again. Got snubbed. I'm going to go to the second question. What scene/moment affected you the most?
I mostly spent a lot of the movie confused. I think the last scene, maybe, because I mostly was confused yet again as to how that had to do with anything.
Do you need explanation at all? Because I could give you some explanation, I feel like.
No, I mean, I think I get it. You know, I didn't think that the cult really had a place. Speaking of the naked people on the lawn.
It does, though.
Does it?
It does.
Like, I know that the grandma, was secretive, and we said that in the beginning. It just, wasn't obvious, which I appreciate because I follow patterns in movies, pretty well.
Did you read the, any of the text when she was, reading the books about the demons and stuff?
Yeah, I tried to. I didn't understand what it had to do with stuff,
So the Payman, one of the rulers of hell, whatever, could be wrong. Don't be mean at me in the comments. The whole thing is when you conjure Payman, you get riches or whatever.
Was that what the ritual was with the fire? Was conjuring that? What were they when they were trying to talk to the dead?
So this whole cult worships Payman. They want to bring Payman back so they can be wealthy and rich. And that's why Ellie, the grandmother that died, is being accused of trying to put people in her son's body who killed himself. Wanted Millie, or not Millie, that's the actress's name. Wanted Charlie, the sister,
to come back.
Yeah, they want. That's why Charlie was she wanted me to be a boy because it needed to have a male body.
That makes more sense now.
And Toni Collette's character Annie would not let the mom or the grandma see her son when she was born. Remember she said that? I didn't let her anywhere near.
Life.
Yeah. So she essentially latched her hooks onto Charlie, and even though she was a female, they put Payman into her.
That makes more sense at the end when Charlie ends up being taken over.
Yeah, because Payman has been in Charlie's body for so long, he's used to being Charlie. So
has he been Charlie this whole time?
That's I don't think it's confirmed, but that's my interpretation, and a lot of theories online kind of say some people say that Payman was put into Charlie from the grandmother breastfeeding her.
What is the son's name?
I'm totally forgetting.
Yeah, because there's Annie and Steve and Charlie and Junior.
Junior. I don't even have my phone on me. I can't look it up.
What the heck is his
Alex
name?
Wolff. That's his real name in real life. He was in the Naked Brothers band and Nickelodeon way back in the day.
Not helpful. He plays such an interesting character. I would say the biggest character evolution was probably either the son or Toni Collette's character. Those are the two biggest character developments I think we saw. Both very well played and very well portrayed for sure.
Well, the son, the Alex Wolff, the actor, said that he literally needed to go into therapy after the movie.
I could see that for sure.
After filming.
Yeah.
But he did pretty good.
Yeah.
He did really good. That makes a lot of sense. So I guess back to what I was saying about the King Payman thing is once the grandmother died, they just put a whole plan into place to somehow get Payman into the son's body. So did you even notice when they were on the way to the party, when they passed by a telephone pole?
Yeah.
And it's the same pole that killed her, and it had the same symbol that's on everything.
Yes, I did
throughout
see that.
the movie.
I wonder what that had to do with it. I didn't realize that was the same pole that ended up killing her.
They had to have had some sort of influence in making sure Charlie died.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Once you realize that it's. I would never have guessed it was a cult unless we obviously saw them at the end. Mm-hmm. I would never have assumed that. I would never have guessed that.
Yeah. What did you think about the family dynamics and the grief that was portrayed in the movie? Like, did it like the dinner scene? Did it hit you at all? Because I feel like I've had those types of arguments with my parents growing up, and that's why it felt so real and dreadful to me.
I think we had a lot of those kind of arguments in my growing up, and so I don't know if that really like hit home or if it's just like I'm so numb to it at this point that like my family is like big and boisterous and like in your face, you know what I mean? And so like I'm like, oh, that's a normal family dynamic right there. Them just yelling at each other at the dinner table.
Yeah. I feel like whenever I watch this movie, because I've seen it a lot, I love this movie, but every time it gets close to that scene or the scene where Charlie dies, my chest just starts getting really heavy because I'm just like,
that was the most shocking part was Charlie's death, honestly, of the whole movie, and it came so quickly, which was so like it was fun and interesting and so sad all at the same time because you're like, oh, this person who's supposed to be a main character, just like we're gonna kill her right away
on the poster.
Way.
I know you haven't seen the trailers, but she was a big part of the trailers.
I've seen her in memes. I've seen her. She's so popular that she's in memes, and she's in maybe the first half hour of the movie.
Yeah, it's a 2-hour movie, and when she died, we were all in the theater, just all of our jaws were just on the ground.
I couldn't believe how much grief just kept rolling in. Like I thought that was the theme of the movie. Oh, this family's cursed. Look at all this death in their family. Like literally, that's where my brain went. It wasn't cult.
The director wanted to make us hurt. That's for sure.
It for sure was, oh, you lost your mom and your grandma and this important person in your life, like the matriarch of your family. Okay, we can deal with that. People's grandparents die all the time. They're old, right?
Yeah.
And then her daughter dies, and you're like, whoa, I cannot even imagine that amount of grief. Like, my mom would say that she would die if any of her children died first. You know what I mean? Like, internally. Mm-hmm. Like, the grief and, like, the nuttiness portrayed by your child dying is part of, like, one of Toni Collette's most impressive things is, like, how she takes that grief and how she takes that.
Oh, the wails she has.
Oh,
it's like the wailing.
God. I felt that.
He's just the son's just standing outside in the hallway.
Well, and he not only gets grief with that, he also gets guilt.
And
fear, probably.
Never owns up to it.
He never mentions it. Even when he does it, he never mentions it. What I would love to see is like how the dad takes the grief more than anything, because he was the most normal, the most quiet, the most collected person out of all of them, and how much turmoil is he experiencing?
See, that's really interesting because you don't see like anything from him like throughout the whole movie. He's very, very calm and collected until it's getting to the end, and it's definitely weighing on him. And like when he picks up the son from school, and then he's driving him home, and he's in the back seat, passed out with the broken nose and everything, and he just starts bawling at the red light.
I just thought it was all really cool, the different ways that each of them processed grief for different reasons. Like, and then eventually Steve dies, but Toni Collette is so wrapped up in everything with her daughter and with her mom dying.
She was literally trying to sacrifice herself.
Like, every time she tried to grieve, she was met with more grief. You know what I mean? Like, Toni Collette, I think, had it the worst. And I think I was waiting for her son to die. I was waiting for just like her entire family, like typical horror movies do.
Yeah, I could see that going into it, like thinking that she would be like the final person.
Yeah.
But now she ends up dying.
No, it's do yourself a flavor. You haven't seen it, go watch it. That's a scariest.
2 words: piano wire.
Oh, was that what that was?
Yeah.
What a good death.
And when he's getting up and walking down the hallway all slowly after he wakes back up, you hear the piano fall over.
Is that
and you
what
hear
that was?
That's those big noises. It's the piano falling over, and you hear just like a bang.
I was just thinking like how beautiful like her death was. Like, not beautiful, I wouldn't say it's gross, but like how well done it is. Like, you don't actually see it. You know it's happening, and then you hear it.
Well, you see her cutting.
That. Well, yeah, but it's not like you don't watch the whole thing happen. Like, you expect it to happen, but then You don't get that satisfaction. You get to listen to it.
It was all practical too.
How cool. How cool.
Yeah.
Like, I would say the way people died in this movie, very imaginative.
Very imaginative and very effective.
Very
I feel
effective.
like.
Yeah.
They were all decapitations, except for Steve.
Oh, shit.
He died by fire.
I wonder if the mom's decapitation is a reflection of, like, what happened to her daughter. You ever think about that? Like, is she cutting her head off, like, in solidarity with...
Yeah, I don't know. Because, like, the grandma's dead body was headless, too.
Was it? How did
Yeah.
grandma die?
I don't know. I don't know how she actually died.
No, she wasn't headless. They had an open casket.
Yeah, but when they found the grandma's body
then it was headless. Okay.
in the attic,
I
there
wonder
was
what
no
that
head.
symbolism was, because there was both bodies headless set up at the end, and Charlie was headless.
Yeah, bowing to him.
Like, what kind of symbolism was that? I didn't understand it, but I saw a pattern.
Yeah, and with the statue they were bowing to that had Charlie's decapitated
Ooh.
head on
Oh.
it.
Yuck.
That shit was ucky.
That shit was ucky.
Very ucky. Would you say it was suspenseful or had a lot of tension at all when you're watching?
I wouldn't say suspenseful. I would say tension for sure. Like, tension in the family dynamic. Tension between, like, griefs for sure. Like, Toni Collette fighting with the grief of her daughter and, like, the grief of her mother and trying to get that. Like, there was tension in trying to, like, talk to them on the other side. There was tension with, like, her grief group. Like, there was tension with her son because what happened there. There was tension with her husband. I think the tension stemmed really from Toni Collette's character. That's where I felt the most tension, is, like, where is she going now? What is happening? What is she doing?
Yeah. And it starts to make you think that she might be just going crazy too.
Well, especially when Steve is all like, I think you may have had a mental break.
Yeah.
I think the grief is too much.
Yeah.
Her whole family thinks she's going crazy. I didn't feel like she was. Like, I felt she was, like, trying to
Well,
do what she thought was right.
especially with her past of sleepwalking and
when they
dousing
included
her
that?
kids. Dousing her kids in paint thinner.
You don't know what to believe. Is she choking her son? Is a ghost getting him? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and that whole dream
Yeah.
when I never wanted to be your mother.
Oh,
And then that just culminated in all of a sudden they're like covered in paint thinner, and then you hear a match and it's like, oh, that was a dream. They're not actually dying right now.
I think it added that next level to the movie, like the dream sequences, because you're like, is this real life or are we dreaming?
Yeah.
What's happening here? It's like when Steve started on fire, literally it was like, is this another dream?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Here's an interesting question I thought of. Did the supernatural elements of the movie enhance or detract from your viewing experience? So, like, take out the demon shit, and there's still the death, there's still the grief, but there's no supernatural.
There's no cult either.
You could loop that
So
in
I feel
with
like
the
with the
supernatural.
cult, you need the supernatural
Yeah.
to tie them together. I don't think you could have had the cult without the supernatural.
Take out the cult. Take out the supernatural. There's still the deaths in the family, but
I would have left wondering why. I think.
Yeah.
Like, is Grandma cursed? Then we get
That
back
would
to
be
the supernatural.
that would be supernatural.
Exactly. My question would be more like, I don't think it would work, because then you wouldn't get Steve's death from the journal. You wouldn't get.
But
Toni
what if he
Collette's
died
death.
in
You wouldn't get-
in a similar way that's not supernatural though? Like the family's still just like dissolving.
Like the family's just cursed in general, yet again supernatural.
Somehow.
I don't see how
Yeah.
that would have worked. Like, if it was genetically your family is predisposed to die in a horrifying kind of way, I think that would be kind of interesting. That's definitely where I thought it was going.
Yeah.
But then it started. No, I think the weirdness and the ick and the tension, a lot of it came from, I think, the supernatural unknown also.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been nearly as full of tension had there not been that element. Had there not been like a weird cult at the end. Like the cult, I felt like it was a lot at the end. I thought we were just praying to a devil child or something.
Sidebar, real quick. I really like that you react using like ew and uck and ick a lot.
Sorry, I'm a child.
I took some notes of where she reacted to this
guttural,
movie.
like, ugh.
And the first one was when it was right after the funeral and stuff, and she's going through her mom's stuff and puts it away, and she's about to leave her office, and she shuts the light off, and you see the grandma in the shadows smiling.
Yuck.
And that's exactly what she did. She was just like, ugh, yuck. That was the first note I took down.
We were going to be haunted from there on out. I for sure thought she was just going to come back and wreak havoc, baby.
Yeah. That scene was really well shot, too.
No creepy dead
because you'd think, I feel like most movies, they would like cut away and like cut back to her turning the light on and then cut back and she's not there.
No, they just left her there.
They just left it.
Blah.
They just left the camera there, and when the light turned on, all of a sudden she was just gone.
I think that's where the ick came from. I was like,
yeah. But there's a lot of scares of noticing something in the dark, especially the biggest jump that we got from you during this movie. Is so funny because I don't even think you were looking at the screen when you noticed it. We were making eye contact, and you saw Toni Collette
you were making a dumb face at me, and I was like, something's gonna happen.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for your reaction. It was Toni Collette up in the corner.
Oh, I hate corner background things.
Up in the corner, you can barely see her. It's dark.
Yuck.
And she's just in the corner, just like Spider-Man-ing it up. And
you gotta fear the dark. Peter. What a normal person name.
That's his name. The son, Peter.
Peter
wakes up, and it's very drawn out.
Oh,
he's waking up very slowly.
Sit there in the corner.
And yeah, that was the best reaction, I think, from you. Because
that was the scariest thing about the movie.
I was waiting for it. I was looking at her, and then she looks at me, and you had to have seen it from the corner of your eye. You were just like, oh, no, and started
I can't see you, you can't see me.
I was like, babe, no, you gotta keep watching. Because like the next cut it goes to is when he's about to look at her, but then you see her crawling through the air.
I love that. Added like a little touch of like fantasy. I was okay with that. At least it wasn't like a creepy crawly like backwards across the ceiling kind of crap. That trope is way overdone.
What'd you feel about the scene where she finally jumps out and starts chasing him, right? And he goes right up into the attic. What did you think about her when it's revealed that the banging is her banging her head up like on the ceiling?
I was more shocked that she was on the ceiling still. I was like, oh, this girl is... I didn't see the chase scene. I didn't realize that he was running from his mom, I don't think, right away.
You didn't think it was her?
I didn't realize that he was trying to escape Toni Collette.
Oh.
And so, like, when he was all like, Mom, please stop. Mommy, please stop.
Yeah.
You know, when he reverts to, like, having to call her mommy because he's scared. Like, he reverts almost into himself.
I thought that scene was scary because you hear this banging and you assume it's just, like, her hand or whatever. Because it's very fast.
I thought it was like a broom.
It was very fast.
I thought she took the handle of the thing they pull the attic down with and she was bamming that against it.
Yeah. And... it's very fast, and then it just cuts, and she's like on the ceiling, and it's her head. I thought it was really fun,
actually. Like that
boom,
angle,
boom, 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 boom.
That decision they made, I was into that. Like I was like, oh, that's really cool. I wasn't expecting that.
Nice, hell yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes in the movie.
I definitely was like, that's a lot, but worth it.
I got a few more questions for you before I let you go.
Hit me with it.
Yeah. Compared to other horror films you've seen. How does this compare?
Kind of in the middle somewhere. Like it's not as beautifully done. I don't like it's really well shot, I would say. The different way they transitioned scenes and included her miniatures within the movie, I think was really cool.
Yeah, I thought the dollhouse aesthetic was a really cool thing.
I think it was a really cool choice. Like it was well shot, but it wasn't as beautiful as Midsommar was. You know what I mean? It wasn't as
same
scary.
Cinematographer.
It wasn't as scary as other ones I've seen. Like Insidious, one of the scariest friggin' horror movies I've ever seen.
Very jump scared though, and you hate jump scares.
Hate jump scares. Would deal with the psychological horror over that any day, truly.
Would you say you enjoyed this more than Insidious then?
Yeah, 100%.
But it's not scarier.
I wouldn't say the hype of it being so scary was not there for me. Like I didn't think it was that scary, and I was kind of relieved because I don't watch horror movies. I'm not a fan. Sorry.
Yeah, this is hot takes because I love this movie, and I thought it was very scary. The first, like,
Would
10
you
times.
say it was like your top 10?
Top 10 for sure. I don't even know what my top 5 is. I know what my top 1 is, and that is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Interesting. I don't know. I would have guessed that probably.
That movie kicks ass. Would you recommend this movie to other people?
Oh, yeah. Would totally. Like, I know that Ari Aster is a super solid director, and I know that it's a pretty popular blockbuster, like, well done, well written.
This is his first movie, too.
Oh, good for him.
Yeah.
Like, I think that it was well shot. The plot, like, the script, I wasn't 100% on. Like, I don't need obvious stuff, but at the same time, I need it to all kind of make sense together. Like, I didn't understand Grandma was part of a cult, which I kind of like, because it was kind of a fun, like, ooh, Grandma's part of a cult. At the end with that other character, Joan, or whatever her name is.
Joni.
I'd recommend it to other people for sure, based on how it's shot and the people in it and the shock value, for sure. I would warn them that the plot is a little bit confusing, though.
Yeah. I definitely had to watch it a couple times before I, like, got it.
I also fully had never seen anything for this before. Like, literally no trailers, like, nothing.
Yeah.
I didn't even know who's in it.
You gotta... now you've seen 2 of his movies. Now we gotta watch Beau is Afraid. But you're gonna need to prepare yourself for that because it's 3 hours long.
Ugh.
It's good. I love Beau is Afraid. Very divisive movie. Some people hate it, but it's not very horror. It's more of like a fucked up comedy.
I do love a good fucked up comedy.
Yeah. I don't know how funny you'll actually find it, though. It's like very dark comedy.
I think you need some comedy.
Yeah.
Comedic relief.
Midsummer has a lot of comedy in it. I feel
it just
like.
has dumb characters that are meant to be like the
Will
fool.
Poulter, yeah. The fool. Yeah, yeah. Very funny.
I mean, I like that trope and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it gives it definitely gives the movie dynamic. What am I trying to say here? It makes it more interesting because it's not just scary the entire time, and it's not just suspenseful the entire
relief.
time. Yeah, I could see that.
And not necessarily like comic relief, like, you know, like the stereotypical like
No, it just gives
comic
it,
relief
depth.
character.
It just gives it more depth.
Yeah.
I think if you can fit comedy and seriousness and like joy and even like all of the emotions in a horror movie and get away with it,
Yeah.
I think that's what Midsummer also
I think
did
it
so
also
well.
really helps with the scares.
Oh, for sure, because you either don't expect it or like you know it's coming.
And then, if you have something that's a little funny, it kind of lets your guard down. You're like, oh yeah.
For sure.
This movie's for me.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah, this is really good. And then it's like, dead kid. What were your expectations of this movie, and did the film live up to those expectations?
Well, I had no expectations because A, I don't watch horror, and B, I didn't know anything about this movie before I watched it.
You didn't even want to watch it. You did not want to watch this. I was like, what movie should we watch? And I was like, Hereditary. And you were like,
it was scary.
You're like, but that's scary. Isn't that supposed to be scary? All horror movies are supposed to be a little scary.
I would say it wasn't as scary as... That's my expectation. I expected it to be like blockbuster, terrifying, nightmare fuel, sleep with the lights on, and it wasn't. Yeah. Like, was there tension? Yes. Yeah. Like, was there gore, and was it like a little bit like, ooh? Yes. But like, was I left needing a nightlight to wish me good night? No.
You might have if you saw it in theaters, because I did. I definitely needed a nightlight.
Like, I'm not... Some people get really scared by that kind of sound. What is that one? That one movie that's like... What's that friggin' horror movie that's from? Maybe it's not that. There's like some...
The Hannibal Lecter?
No, I feel like there's a lot... There's
he
like...
does that. Are you talking about Predator?
Neither. It's something
What
else.
are you talking about?
There's so many horror movies that are known for like whatever sounds that they make being so scary. And could I see the for sure being scary?
Yeah.
And like memorable? Yeah, but am I terrified today of somebody making that noise around me? No.
What would you rate this movie? Out of 5 or out of 10? Whatever. What would you rate this movie?
I'd give it like a solid 8.
8 out of 10?
8 out of 10. Yeah, like it's like I said, it's beautiful. Like it's well done. It's got great actors. It's the script, The plot makes like zero sense. That's my only problem with it. Could it be like maybe like a little bit creepier or scarier? Yeah. So like one point I feel like would be like the script and the plot. Like the script itself wasn't bad. Like the dialogue and like the character development was not bad. Like I had a very good time with that.
Yeah.
It was like I take away a point for like the general plot, and I would take away a point for general scariness.
Okay.
Could be scarier.
That's pretty solid.
Yeah, but I would for sure give it an 8.
I think
if you made me, I would watch again.
I think on Letterboxd, the movie app where you can like log what movies you've seen, I think I have it at like an 8 or 9. I don't think I have it as a 5-star.
It feels better than like a 6. Like it feels better than a 6, but not quite a 9.
Definitely. I feel like just on the filmmaking alone, it's definitely over a 6 or a 7.
Yeah.
Because it was made very well, especially for a first-time director. I mean, he's done a lot of short movies, but that was his first like movie.
Wow.
Yeah, like feature-length film.
Good for him.
Yeah, so back to the questions. Just what's based on this movie? What would you watch next? Like, what would you seek out in a horror movie? Especially if it didn't... Like, it doesn't have to be like a title or like a movie, you know, like what would you want to watch next?
I definitely through this experience discovered what kinds of horror movies I'm willing to watch. You were like, which ones do you enjoy? Let's narrow it down from there. And I think I'm definitely into the more like fantasy realm of it. I think is cool. Like I'm totally down for like psychological horror. Like I definitely don't like jump scares, not into that. And I don't mind gore, but gore typically like follows different kinds of genres. Like it's not like this is a gore genre. Like slashers I think are boring though. See, that's where the gore does not intrigue me.
Really?
So I think
I feel like slashers are fun. And that's why I watch them, because they're stupid.
Like they're stupid. I just sit there, okay, everyone's dying in this movie.
Like Friday the 13th, which we'll probably cover on this channel or podcast whenever, sometime. Those movies are not like good, but they're fucking awesome. Like
well, exactly. Like we watched, you introduced me to the Halloween movies, and I wasn't like...
The first one is a masterpiece. It's just, bored. For what it is, it kicked off. We can get into that debate some other time. Like, the first one's great. You would hate the sequels.
Probably.
Yeah.
It's just the same thing over and over and over again, you know what I mean? Except for one movie he's not in them.
Yeah, except for...
We're not talking about that. That's
Halloween 3, which we should actually watch.
But I definitely learned more of the kind of horror movie I would be willing to watch instead of none ever again. Thanks to, like, having to do this with you and having to have an interest in horror movies because I'm with you.
So can I make it official, and if I don't have another guest for a week or something, I can just make you watch another horror movie with me?
Yeah, why not?
You can be a regular. Yeah. You can be a castmate.
I can be the guinea pig. We can test
the guinea pig. You did say...
Horror with Maddie.
Horror with Maddie, a little sidebar.
Good luck, Godspeed.
She's going solo. She doesn't even need me.
I will not watch any of these without him.
By yourself?
No.
Yeah.
I would never actively.
With me, though.
I would never actively watch a horror movie by myself. That's not my first choice. But if I had to, like, I think psychological thrillers and like
make
horror.
It sound like I'm forcing you.
No, it's just like it doesn't tickle my fancy.
To.
It doesn't like I'm never gonna lean towards a horror movie, but I think it was worth watching with you.
Yeah. I think we need to find the next time like a folk horror movie is like coming out.
I would be so down for that.
Like a new one coming out, like we should go see it.
That's still like that almost that fantasy edge that I enjoy.
Yeah. There's not many fantasy horror movies. That's like kind of rare.
Interesting. I'm kind of a weirdo. Okay.
But like
folk.
But no, I'm saying like fantasy horror does exist and they're usually pretty good, but there's not many. Like compared to the other subgenres, there's not many fantasy.
I meant like an element of fantasy, like an element of the devil. I don't mind. Like an element of witchery or an element of like cultism. Like I'm into anything that potentially has like that kind of edge to it. Like it doesn't have to be the entire movie. Like sure, Midsummer is an entire cult movie, but this one just had like a little sprinkle.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a cult in both of his movies. That's crazy.
Is he in a cult?
No.
Is he a cult? Is it the Ari Aster cult?
No, he wrote Hereditary to be a family drama.
Definitely.
Which it is.
Definitely. He
wrote Midsummer as a breakup movie, which...
Oh, they should have been broken up so long ago.
Just...
I don't have time to discuss that movie. What a dumb movie.
And Beau is Afraid. I'm not sure what inspired that, but he wrote that was going to be his first movie. And then he was like, they'll never let me make this as my first movie. It's too bizarre.
That's kind of what I like about him. I like the bizarre element.
We should watch that. Do you know what made him go like viral and like get signed by, not signed, you don't get signed as a director and like get hired by A24 is his thesis film called The Strange Thing About the Johnsons, where it's this family, this African American family, just wife, husband, and a son. And the son is secretly sexually abusing the dad.
Whoa, that's backwards.
Yeah. It's a short film, and it's very crazy. It's crazy.
That feels crazy.
I think you would like it.
I think I would have a really bad time with it.
It's a little dreadful.
That's okay. We can talk about that another time, though.
Yeah, we can talk about that another time. We're going to go. This has been the first episode of the podcast, the Horror First Timers, which is going to be a new thing that I'm trying out. So,
give us a like.
Sorry if this was like
hit that subscribe
rambling.
Button.
Like, we like to talk and ramble a lot, so
it's more fun that way. Join us.
We'll get more
succinct,
and I don't know, more structure to the way we talk about things. I guess
like that.
Only if we do it like that. So yeah, this has been Horror First Timers, episode 1 with my lovely fiance, Maddie Franz.
Thanks for having me.
Where can we find you? What are you doing? You doing music?
I do music. I teach lessons.
Teach lessons.
I have a lesson business.
From her.
Yeah.
Get lessons from her.
I play piano
I don't teach
and
lessons.
Guitar,
you don't want me to teach
ukulele. Bunch of weird random horns. No other strings really though. You can find me at themaddiefranz.com or at thedinnertablefamily.com for any lesson inquiries.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Love you.